2. Hello, welcome to Telling Like It Is, Knicks Preview. Across the screen there is lifelong Knicks fan Pat Fabian, coach of the Redhead Boys JV, former student, former excellent basketball player, still plays, has some run tonight from what I hear.
I don't know if I'll be able to walk tomorrow morning, but at least it'll be kind of
fun. Cleveland Browns fan as well. So Pat has some unique. They beat my Vikes a couple of weeks ago, so he's got bragging rights for now. Really excited about the Knicks upcoming season. Pat, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited that, last time with the playoffs, I was all jacked up. Now I'm all giddy about this.
I tell you what, though, I was excited about those, even though they lost. I mean, it's such a learning experience, and Trey did a special thing that series, and it's one of those times. But first thing I'm going to talk to you about, though, is your Mount Rushmore of New York Knicks, if you don't mind.
All right, so like we were just discussing before, I've got two. I've got my actual Mount Rushmore, and then mine, that's personal to me. It's not that crazy, but
they're both yours.
Yeah. So I got Clyde Frazier.
Oh, it's my brother's favorite. Well, my older brothers, that's their favorite.
Yeah, my dad tells me all the time that he was like the best point guard. Like he was unbelievable.
He was.
And just when and obviously you're listening to Clyde growing up.
Oh, he's so good.
He's great. I got Willis Reed.
Oh, sure, the captain.
I really never even saw him play much except for like the black and white highlights.
Okay.
But him limping out of the tunnel in the finals was amazing.
Sure.
Patrick Ewing.
Oh, he always played hard.
Obviously, I think he's probably the leading statistical category and everything.
Sure.
And then I put Bernard King.
Oh, great player.
Now this was tough because Bernard King and Melo, I feel like were kind of the same type of player.
Sure.
And obviously Melo was up there with all the stats and everything. Sure. But I went with Bernard King just to give you old heads, make you guys happy.
Well, Bernard was a hell of a playoff performer. I still remember the night that they lost to the Pistons in Game 5 of a 5-game series in '84. The night that Isaiah lit it up. Actually, no, they beat the Pistons. Isaiah tied it with no three. With basically he scored 14 points. I think 2.5 minutes. Isaiah.
That wasn't on his ankle, was it? That wasn't.
That was the finals versus my Lakers. That was painful in 1988. But I still got my man Magic here sitting here with me. Magic remembers that. He's still smiling though. But
it looked like he got a big throw right there.
Yeah, Bernard had a great post-up game for a 6'5.5" guy. He went to the rack hard, and I tell you, if he could have stayed healthy with Patrick, I think they could have done some really terrific things.
He into he got into a lot of trouble too sometimes.
Well, at college he had some difficulty because Tennessee was not treating young black players well yet, and it was really a horrendous situation for him down there. He wasn't treated as fairly as Ernie Grunfeld was. But Bernard's one of my all-time favorite Knicks, just because he played hurt. He did everything he could, and just a very underrated scorer. And they took the Celtics to 7 that year in 1984, and just horrendous team, and he just carried them. And the Celtics had a great team that year, and they won the whole thing. But Bernard had him.
Yeah, that was my actual real one. Now,
sure.
So in the other one I have of mine, I've got Ewing, of course.
Sure.
Wish he could have won a championship, but obviously didn't. I was torn on this too. I didn't want to put Melo on it because I was like one of the first people on there saying trade Carmelo and everything. But I did grow up watching him, and he was unbelievable. And the 62-point game, I remember being like my college dorm just going nuts.
Yeah.
Now my next one, John Starks.
Yeah, great. Michael Jordan.
He hit that's how I played. I was a nut. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I absolutely loved watching him. I remember I was wearing his jersey to a game one time. He saw me, he came up to me, he signed it. It was it was awesome. Amazing. And then my last one comes a little bit out of left field. Jamal Crawford.
Oh, Jay Craw.
My man.
Score on anybody.
Anybody. And it's funny. I was probably in 7th or 8th grade when he was coming through with the Knicks. Every password that I have, I probably shouldn't say this online, is some form of Jamal Crawford. I use it. I love that guy. And you could ask Coach DeMarco how many times on JV I used to try to do a Jamal Crawford move in transition. He'd yell at me.
I tell you, if I had to do a Mount Rushmore, I don't have 4, but I got a couple of guys in left field there. I love Sugar Ray Richardson, man. He could dominate a game without taking more than 10 shots. He was unbelievable in the early 80s there when those teams were just forming. And I loved I love Latrell Sprewell. That's hard.
Oh,
I've never seen a guy
yes.
play with more energy. I mean, the guy I never saw. One time he ran and grabbed the ball and saved it from going out of bounds on one end, and then beat everybody down the floor going the other way.
he like some of my first memories watching the Knicks like with my dad were that 99 season
Sure,
with the I mean obviously like I back then I was 7. I don't really even remember
sure,
like what the lockout was and everything.
sure,
But
sure.
I just remember him and Marcus Camby and
Oh,
Houston
yeah.
just like they were so tough and Sprewell I had the Sprewell shoes that had
Yep.
the rims in them every time he stepped the rims would spin. I love Sprewell.
Loves Latrell. I thought he's one of the most. I never saw a guy who had more energy. Never got tired. I loved Latrell, and I just wish they could have had Patrick in his prime with Latrell. I think they could have done.
Yeah. And I think we can finally forgive Latrell Sprewell for going after PJ Carlesimo.
Well, from what I know a story I could tell you off air if PJ can do that to you. I know a couple of funny stories about it. But you have to be pumped up with these additions of Fournier and Kemba this year.
Oh yeah, no, I know. So I think Kemba for the money that they're paying him, I think he's like the perfect fit. You
Yeah.
know, like because he's he's like a team first guy. And I think he's just like I think Rose is a great point guard.
Sure.
But Rose is he's a score first point guard. You know,
Sure.
he's always going to look for his shots. And I think Kemba's just more of like a floor general that will and I think everyone will benefit from it. He can get into the lane, he can kick it out to the shooters. Like, you know, I like I'll talk about this later, but RJ is starting to really come around with shooting.
Sure.
And I think he's going to be huge for Randall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think he takes the pressure off of Randall too, like you're saying, because he can win you a game too. And Randall doesn't have to do it every night then, and that's a big help, you know.
Yeah, well, I think like a lot of last year, especially in the playoffs, it became Randall. One, like it's kind of how the offense was designed for him, but it was just he was trying to do everything on his own, like by himself, and not in a selfish way. He just didn't have anyone to get him into his spots. Like I was not a big fan of Peyton.
Right.
So I just think it's a huge upgrade from Peyton.
Sure.
I looked up some stats. I did my research.
Nice. That's what we like to
so-
hear. Telling it like it is.
No, so like I don't know if you've read, but Tibbs wants them to shoot more threes this year. He wants to,
Yeah, they have to. It's the way the game is played a little bit. You gotta get into the modern age.
Right. And Kemba, he's shooting 36% from three. Not terrible, you know, not great, but he was taking 9 threes a game and he's making 3.5 per game.
Yeah.
Peyton shot 28% from three last year and he only was taking 2 a game. You know,
Sure.
so that changes the whole offense. Guys have to come out,
Sure.
you know, and guard him, and then he can break them down, and the whole offense opens up. So
Sure.
I'm pumped. And one other thing about Kemba, he's going to get, you know, talked about for not being great on defense,
Right.
but he is like top 3 or 4 in the league in taking charges every year. So at least that's a stat I love. Shout out Chris Roma.
And Fournier has shot 47% from three.
Yeah.
I think last year, so he's definitely going to be. And you know, this is something I hope for Tibbs. Tibbs always had a bad rap for running guys into the ground. I think this team's deep right now. I just hope he uses that depth early in the season. Yeah, I think they can do it.
Well, the thing with Fournier is like he brings the exact same thing that Reggie Bullock brought.
Sure.
It just now, you know, maybe Reggie's a little bit better on D, but Fournier's not a bad defensive player. He's
Right.
tough, and he creates for guys. He's averaging like 4 assists a game. So, you know, at least you get a little bit of a different dynamic from him than you did with Bullock.
You know, it's funny though, as a diehard Knicks fan as you are, the thing that's most impressive that no one mentions, and this is what happens when you have a good front office. They did the right things by the signings again too. They brought back Noel. I mean, they go out and they get Kemba, they get Fournier. I mean, like you could tell that the front office did a solid job this offseason because they had a ton of free agents, as we know, at the end of the season. They could have lost all these guys.
Yeah. Well,
they didn't.
I think that's huge. Just bringing back because like it was obviously such a feel good year, and
Sure.
Tibbs always talks about the culture, but the culture is like completely changed. You know, I like nothing in the world makes me happier that the Nets are the most dysfunctional team in New York right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's so great that like for once like you have a good feeling going into a season where there's nothing wacky going on.
Sure. And I tell you, it's like getting a new guy back with Mitchell Robinson too. I love him.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite guys. He's the guy I really love the most because he's a shot blocker, and for me, I'm always like a shot blockers are rare, and that's always the thing that I love the most is the shot blocker. To me, like you can't replace them, and they're exceptional. So for me, the shot blocker that he brings is going to be great for them. And they could be a little more aggressive even on defense because they really missed him. And Noel can block a shot. I mean, so I really like their length. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, like in that Hawks series, I felt Clint Capella was like such a force down low. Like, and him and Robinson are kind of like the same guy. And like I kind of worry with Taj and what's his name, Noel and Mitch, just because like they don't create too much for themselves.
Right.
But I think adding Kemba is that, like, I mean, and I think Kemba is like this second most pick and roll usage in the league. So, like Mitch is going to get a lot of easy buckets, and that'll make him work harder on the other end. I mean, he always works hard on the other end, but that gives him the energy.
And you got that 3-guard rotation now. It's going to be filthy good. I mean, you got a great 3-guard rotation. You got Emmanuel off the bench there, and you can play Rose and Kemba at the same time, and Barrett can do it a little bit for you. I mean, so it's going to be exciting. But I felt like last year in the playoffs, I thought Coach McMillan did a great job by bringing that weak side guy and almost sticking him in the lane for most of the legal defense. You really every time they caught the ball, I felt like on an ISO, they just stepped over to him and like gave the threat of, well, skip it and shoot it instead. And I think that was the right thing for them to do.
Yeah, well, it felt like whenever Randall got the ball like in the mid post area, he had three, not like 3 guys on him. It was just 3 guys there, and you saw it every time he went to the lane. It was like he was like just stuck. He had nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go is right, and
that's adding those shooters is huge.
Absolutely. So those are some of the concerns after last season. But did this roster, you feel like they addressed your concerns? I know we just kind of talked about that.
Yeah. So I was kind of like I said, the 3-point shooting.
Sure.
But I think like adding Kemba, adding Fournier, RJ Barrett is proving that he's going to start shooting. And people they all say, oh, it's a fluke, but I mean the guy, he shot almost 40% from 3 last year.
Yeah, he's getting better. You can't deny that.
Yeah, and so I think that's good. I was a little concerned about their centers. And we just talked about this, obviously, just because of the lack of offense. But defensively, they're also good that it kind of trades off. And then Kemba can definitely help them. One of my bigger concerns was Obi Toppin.
Sure.
But in the playoffs, he actually showed us something. And I mean, he's been working like crazy in the offseason. He looks really good so far in preseason. He looks comfortable.
Sure.
So but it seems like they started to address everything that I was worried about. I was worried about the core coming back because like they haven't had like an actual team or a solid base in 20 years.
That's right.
So it's just nice to have some continuity. I don't have to throw out any jerseys.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I was saying about the GMs. Quietly, no one talks about it on WFAN. All you hear are these people talk about the team, but the GMs did a great job. It's like the umpire. If you did a good job, you don't notice them. And they brought back a lot of those guys were free agents, and they held on to them. And it wasn't easy to probably hold on to D Rose. Probably a lot of people were probably interested in him, but they definitely addressed the concerns. And I'm really excited with the shooting they've added. But what do you think about your division this year? I think probably maybe one of the toughest divisions in basketball.
Yeah, I think so. I think with the Celtics,
sure,
they're like a big question mark to me. Only because I'm not a big Dennis Schroeder fan.
Right.
I forgot they added him. But I just don't think he's a starting point guard, and I don't think your answer is Smart or Pritchard.
No.
And like I'm sure you watch a lot of the Celtics. Like
sure, I do.
Jason Tatum, as unbelievable as he is, he could be so frustrating to watch because he just once he starts like chucking shots up, he doesn't stop.
He starts shooting that step back all the time.
Exactly. If he's on, he's on. But it's hard to live and die by that. They probably have the best front court in the NBA though.
Oh yeah.
They have Horford, Cantor, and that guy Robert Williams.
Yes.
So they'll definitely be tough. And from everything I hear about what's his name, Udoka, the coach.
Right.
I think they they could definitely be tough.
Well, I think they lose a little bit with Brad Stevens. I guess Brad Stevens was great. I think that's going to hurt them a little bit. But that division is rough. And the Sixers obviously are so talented. What happens with Ben Simmons, nobody knows.
Yeah, no idea.
Then you have the Nets in your division. You got a great division.
Yeah.
And, the Wizards, I mean, geez, you feel bad. I mean, every time they try to get something done, they lose people.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling Bradley Beal's going to get
Yeah.
he's going to get traded this year.
Yeah. So that's that division right there. And it's just such a good division. I mean, really is. I mean, it's a loaded division. You got to give a ton of respect to that division there.
Yeah, it's gonna the top, especially now that the Knicks are pretty decent. I think the only team that I don't really worry about is Toronto.
Sure.
I think that I'm not a big
step back. Absolutely.
I'm not a big Van Vliet guy. I mean, I think he's a great piece.
A volume shooter, I feel like. I like him.
Exactly.
He's a
And
Wichita
he's
State guy, so I love him, but I feel like he's a
right.
volume shooter.
I love him too. Like he'd be a great, six man coming off the bench, jacking up threes. But
yeah. He's like Marcus. He's a little better offensive version of Marcus Smart. He's very tough.
Yeah,
I love Mark. If I had 10 Marcuses, I would love to coach that team. But
I would love to have him too.
I mean, that's like one of my favorite players. But yeah, he does have some deficiencies, but I love him anyway. But I tell you what, the Eastern Conference and you're a young fella, but for about 20 years, I felt the West has been better. But I think this year it might be even.
It's definitely even. I think the Bucks are so tough. Like, I mean,
oh god, yeah.
Like Drew Holiday is just incredible.
Freak.
Obviously, whatever his name is, Giannis.
You don't realize how good Middleton is. I'm glad the world got to see how good Middleton is.
He's awesome. And then I think the Hawks are going to be scary again.
Yeah, they're going to be scary.
They didn't lose anybody, and they're just coming off of a great year. I forget who they got. They got somebody from the Kings. I forget his name. A point guard, but he'll be a good backup for
sure.
For what's his name, Trae Young. I think the Hornets are going to be interesting.
Yeah, the Hornets are getting better.
Mm-hmm. LaMelo, he'll probably have another breakout type season. And they added Kelly Oubre, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but everybody rants and raves about.
Good player. The team I'm thinking of, I don't know what your thoughts are on this. I think the Pacers are going to sneak up a little bit here.
Yeah, I was thinking like the Pacers are always tough. No matter what. And like Miles Turner, he's tough down there. And Brogdon, like they're just going to be hard nosed. They're going to be, even if they don't make the playoffs, they're going to be tough to play every time you play them.
Yeah, and if Warren comes up big, I mean, they needed that other scorer, but if they could do that, and Sabonis, and they're going to be a tough squad. I mean, they could stay healthy because Warren's still not healthy yet, so we don't know if he's starting the season. But just so much fun in the Eastern Conference this year. I'm really looking forward to seeing a rejuvenated Eastern Conference, and the depth in the conference is great. And
the Bulls are going
to be very. I'm so happy for Zach
Lonzo
to get back healthy. I'm very happy for him. I'm hoping that the Bulls are good again. So it should be fun. I mean, I don't know what to expect out of the Magic. Sometimes I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say no, and then I look at the Pistons and I think they're getting better, but sometimes I say no. I mean, it's tough. I like the Pistons roster. It's definitely getting there, but I don't think this conference is going to be tough.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Cade Cunningham play. I loved him in college. I took Oklahoma State in every bracket I had, just because I felt he was so good.
Sure.
But he'll be fun to watch.
Sure. And now, as a Knicks fan, what will be a best case scenario for you this year for the Knicks?
So my lofty best case scenario.
That's okay.
98-0. They go.
82-0 and then 16 playoff wins. All right.
They sweep the playoffs. They go 98-0, and that's that. No, best case, absolute best case. I would say it would be incredible if they won 50+ games. Now, obviously, that's lofty as well, but that would be the best case scenario.
Sure.
Realistically, like if they were a top 4 seed, they could host a playoff game, and if they stay healthy, that's best case scenario for me.
Yeah, well, all these predictions rely on health, absolutely.
Yeah,
But now the health obviously we can't control, but you're right. All the predictions we make on the show here are always about being healthy, and of course, like I said even before with the Pacers, if Mike Warren is not healthy, if Warren is not healthy, it's going to be tough for them too. But so same for the Knicks. I mean, if a team isn't healthy, that's bad luck. It's out of your control.
Yeah, this team definitely could have the potential to
got a lot of depth. I love it.
Yeah, well that's true too. But I'm saying they could have potential to be injured, so that's where the depth comes in.
Sure.
Even the rookies, we didn't even talk about them. Like Grimes, I think he's going to play a huge role for this team.
I think a guy like Toppin, he's really gonna have to fight for his minutes on this team because this team's tough.
Yeah,
I mean, I could see this team really going small and playing like Barrett, Rose, Kemba, and Randall at the 4 and putting Robinson at the 5. I mean, I would love that.
Or even Toppin at the 5. The one thing about them this year is I think that they're going to play with so much more pace than
Sure.
they have in years
Well, I
past.
think they're
I
more
mean,
athletic this year too.
yeah,
That's
and
what-
it looks like in the preseason so far, like I haven't seen them run like this, in years. Like they're really looking to push. And when you have like athletic bigs like Toppin and you have Robinson, like there's gonna be some nasty dunks going down in the Garden.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I hate to ask you this, but what would be the worst case scenario? Say you had a lot of injuries. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, not even injuries. I just think worst case scenario, they miss the playoffs. They maybe get into that playoff game. I mean, the play-in game.
Sure.
And obviously, it all depends on being healthy and if they can put it together. Like right now, it seems like they have it together. They're moving the ball well, but it's a long season and
Sure.
you never know what can happen. So worst case scenario though for me would be missing the playoffs.
Sure. Now here comes out now your prediction, Master Swami.
All right,
Coach Fabian over there.
all right. So I'm predicting that they're going to be a top 6 seed in the East.
Okay, great.
I think that I think they'll avoid the play-in game.
Sure.
That's my first one. I have a couple of different ones.
Okay,
Right, so obviously they're making the playoffs. I think you're going to see RJ Barrett take a huge step in his career, and he's going to get an all-star nod this year.
Great.
I think he's going to do it. I don't think Randall is going to get an all-star nod this year,
Sure.
but I think you're going to see him take a little bit of a dip in points per game and all that, but he's going to score 21, 22 a game on less shots and much more efficient. Yeah, because I think he's going to be getting the ball in his spots from an actual point guard. He's not going to have to create for himself a lot. I think it's going to draw a lot of attention away from him to get get him his shots.
Sure.
I think Rose going to be a finalist for 6 man,
Sure.
again, and I think he could win it if he gets a full season as a 6 man.
Sure.
And then I said this before, but I think Grimes is going to play a huge role in the season this year.
Sure.
And I don't know if he'll be right away, but I think he's like the perfect hard-nosed Tibbs guy. He's going to get in you on defense and he's going to hit threes. So
I think you guys are going to win a playoff series. That was my prediction for this year.
That would be awesome.
That would be.
I was at those games. It was like, nothing like I've experienced. And this was a first round playoff series. It was insane.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Hey, it's going to be fun, man. I'm really looking forward to it. And I want to thank you for coming on. Good luck with your run tonight.
Yes. Well,
I won't give away where the location is. We don't want anybody cutting.
Yeah, we don't want to. We don't want too many. We had 21 last week, so
that's too many, Coach.
We have 2 games going, so it's always one person out. So it makes it competitive though, because then you can't you can't lose.
You're playing half court or full?
Depends on how many are there. Well, and even if there is enough for full, we usually go like a game and a half, and then it's we start limping and nobody gets back on the.
Sure. So how's school treating you? Everything good?
Yeah, everything's good, man. It's
good.
School's finally getting back to normal.
Good. It's good. It's good to have you back on the boys sideline this year. We're looking forward to seeing you out there.
Can't wait. I can't wait. Maybe we'll link up for a scrimmage or something.
Yeah, we'll try to do that, and we'll definitely remind Coach Lamb that we got that survey out there. We want to publicize the Riverhead basketball and
I'll let them know
and get everybody out there. But thanks for coming on and telling it like it is for the Knicks preview, and we're really excited for the next season. I think when did they kick off? Tomorrow night?
Wednesday. They got the Celtics.
Okay. Celtics. Ooh, right away throwing into the fire.
We'll see how it goes.
Knicks fans will be jumping off the bridge telling us it's a big game already.
I know. Well, it's funny. Like me and my dad watched the preseason game the other night against the Pistons, and we actually felt like it was a playoff game. It's the fourth preseason game. We're sitting on the edge of our seat, like, come on, they need this.
Shit! Oh my God.
Yeah. So it should be fun.
Well, all right. Well, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'll see you.